2 weeks out from the draft. So we're going to get to some NFL draft first round mocks in just a bit. All of the projected mock drafts, the average player that is supposed to go to these teams in that position, all the questions. What could these teams do alternatively? What are their biggest needs? And all the headlines surrounding these teams. The New York Jets. Biggest question is, obviously, do the Jets hit or miss on their pick? And most of the mock drafts up until, I don't know, just this week, it was Arvell Reese, the linebacker from Ohio State, who was talked about, edge rusher, but mostly probably going to play as a linebacker for the New York Jets, that was projected to go to them at number 2. All of a sudden, our friends at BetMGM, the odds have flipped. Now it's David Bailey, the disruptive pass rusher from Texas Tech, who's minus 150 to go to the Jets at number 2.
Wow.
So it's going to be defense. It's going to be a guy that should be able to get after the quarterback. But is it going to be Arvell Reese or is it going to be David Bailey? And does it matter for the New York Jets? All that matters is hopefully one of these guys doesn't turn into another bust.
No, it doesn't matter which direction they go. And again, folks, if you're going to bet on the NFL draft, buckle up. There is going to be wild, crazy swings in the juice offered by BetMGM and really across the board. I mean, it's going to be comparable to Con Knipple and Cooper Flagg and how that juice flipped in recent days, the NBA Rookie of the Year market. It's bananas. We're getting to a point now where you believe nothing, absolutely nothing. I think starting next week, all the rumors are getting hot and heavy, and you just toss them out the window because there's so many smoke screens that are being deployed by NFL front offices. Whether they go Bailey, whether they go Reese, it doesn't matter. They have so many needs on defense. Given Aaron Glenn's background, being a defensive guy, they're going to go one of those directions for sure. I mean, you look at the EPA data, they were number 30 last season in EPA per play defense. So doesn't matter if they go D-line, doesn't matter if they go in the back end, doesn't matter if they go linebacker, just get somebody competent that can actually disrupt the pocket or wrap up guys or break up passes. You need all the help in the world for you to be even a decent football franchise. Puddle jumpers, that being the New York Jets.
Yeah, look, I think it's an interesting debate that has popped up here, and it's one that is, we talked about earlier. It's going to heat up here as we get closer and closer to draft night. Who do the Jets take? Is it going to be Arvell Reese or is it going to be David Bailey? Aaron Glenn did say that he's planning to employ multiple fronts, including a new 3-4 look, and that they'll use a little bit of everything. And that for me feels like it's like they got to draft Arvell Reese because he's gotten some comparisons to Micah Parsons. Obviously, he could be a pass rusher, but again, worked out at the combine as a linebacker and can stop the run. But the fact that you have a guy that can kind of alternate between getting on the line and maybe coming off the edge and maybe, standing back a couple of feet into the normal linebacker position stance, I feel like if you're going to use a couple of different looks and a couple of different fronts, you might use a 4-3, you might use a 3-4. Why not the guy that has more versatility that can do it? Unless you believe David Bailey is really just going to be the next, Myles Garrett here coming off the edge as a pass rusher. For me, it always feels like it's Arvell Reese. He's a guy that didn't generate a ton of sacks, but he's got incredible speed. He's got great instincts, great open field tackler. For me, that's where the Jets really need to go. Is you want somebody that can fill multiple holes, that can do multiple things for you. It's got to be Arvell Reese, but David Bailey right now is the favorite to get taken by the Jets at number 2. Here's an interesting one. The Cardinals, do they jump to draft a quarterback? We know that their quarterback situation going into this season is not pretty. They cut Kyler Murray, ate a ton of money, signed Gardner Minshew to be the backup for Jacoby Brissett, who took over for Kyler Murray last year. And the Cardinals, what are they going to end up doing here? So if it is David Bailey, who's the favorite to go to the Jets at number 2, then would Arizona just simply swoop up Arvell Reese to help out a defense that was god-awful, atrocious last year? I think whoever the Jets take between Reese and Bailey, whoever doesn't get taken, that's who the Cardinals are going to take. Brad, do you agree with that?
I do, and the book has responded to that at BetMGM. Marvel Reese now plus 145, and he was greater than 2-1 odds before the flipperoo there with David Bailey going the Jets at number 2. So Reese is the odds-on favorite. I think they have to focus on defense. You got Brissett. You know, he's a plus quarterback. We saw it last year. I mean, for fantasy football purposes, he was top 15 over the second half of the season. You got all kinds of weapons there. He's already built up some chemistry with. You know, I like this team offensively to a certain aspect. You know, like running back, there was a lot of questions there, but Michael Wilson, he was amazing. He still got Marvin Harrison there, and he had one of the best tight ends in the league in the Bridezilla, Trey McBride. So defense has got to be the name of thy game for the Desert Birds. They were number 26 and EPA per play defense last year. So yes, they will get the consolation prize, whether it being Bailey or Reese. Whoever the Jets take, they will take the leftovers, and halfly so.
I did see some mock drafts that have them going with Monroe Freeling, the big offensive tackle from Georgia. I just think that defense was historically bad last year. You can't ignore it. You can't ignore it with how highly rated these guys are, you know, Reese and David Bailey. Hell, even if they took Sonny Styles at 3, I wouldn't hate that either. The big thing is for the Cardinals, and watch out for this because I think there's a legit possibility it happens. We're talking about where will Ty Simpson go? Does he go, you know, in the teens? Does he go in the 20s? If he is still there by 24 or 25, I highly believe the Arizona Cardinals are going to do what the Giants did last year, trade back into the first round like the Giants drafted Jackson Dart. I think the Cardinals will trade into the first round at the end of it and try to draft Ty Simpson, the quarterback from Alabama. And that way, you know, you at least have some hope and some promise for the future rather than saying, Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, 2 career backups. What could go wrong?
Look, man, I think Arizona, they're going to make their bed. They're going to sleep in it, and they're going to be quite happy with the selection that they make. It's a foregone conclusion in my mind. It's got to be defense. And again, I just go back to the question of whether they going to do a running back, and eventually they're probably going to take somebody in the middle of the draft, and that individual, because I don't believe that James Conner is going to be the guy, will be the starter for this franchise by midseason. So stay tuned for that.
Should they draft Jeremiah Love at number 3? That's it. I think there could be some twists, and I don't think they should, but is there that possibility? Because you mentioned they've got a weakness at running back as well, and so I think there's going to be some twists and turns. I think there's anybody that these players that are mocked to go anywhere from 2 to 7. I think we could see the reality be any kind of jumbled up combination based on what teams actually want to do versus what we think they should do, or just looking at what their needs are. But, you know, GMs, man, sometimes they do some crazy things, and a lot of the times they don't end up working. All right, that brings us to the Tennessee Titans. Speaking of doing crazy things, nothing would be stupider, in my opinion, than for the Tennessee Titans to draft Jeremiah Love. Even though I love Notre Dame guy, best running back in the country, probably the best overall player in this draft, if we're being honest, but it's a mistake if you are not anywhere close to being a playoff team and you draft a running back in the top 10, let alone the top 5. The Raiders made the mistake last year with Ashton Genty. The Giants made the mistake years ago with Saquon Barkley. The Jaguars made the mistake years ago with Leonard Fournette. Are the Tennessee Titans going to make this mistake, or will they be drafting potentially Sonny Styles or Monroe Freeling or any of the other big offensive linemen? It's a big pick that the Tennessee Titans have, and I think they would be screwing it up by taking a running back, a position that they do not need to improve right now.
No, because they got Tony Pollard on the roster. He's pretty damn good last year, and he's probably got a good year or 2 left that of being a very running back. So, yeah, I think it would be downright silly for them to go Jeremiah Love. I think it's at this point in the draft, Pat, that twist, that crook, the bend in the road that you discussed could occur. Somebody's going to call them, maybe as the Commanders, who have a clear running back need. They say, hey, what's it going to take to move up 3 spots, because Washington's at number 7, to get to number 4, to get Jeremiah Love. Somebody is going to wheel, somebody is going to deal, and I think the Tennessee Titans need to be open-minded of trading down in this draft, stockpiling picks because they need help in several areas, and bypass investing in Jeremiah Love because honestly, they simply don't need him.
Yeah, they don't. But, again, new head coach in Robert Saleh, new offense coordinator in Brian Dable, the New York guys linked up in Nashville. And so you got a defensive-minded head coach. Obviously, you have an offensive-minded offensive coordinator. I would hope so. That's the case in Tennessee. But, the crazier things have happened. I don't, and I think it would be dumb, but I can't put it past the possibility that they draft Jeremiah Love, because who did you and I compare him to, and who have many people compared him to in the NFL? Jahmyr Gibbs. So not only would you get a great running back, but you would get a good pass catching option. And if that's going to help Cam Ward, where you can design several plays for the little drop offs, the dump offs, the screens, get him out in motion before the snap, have him run out in the flat, treat him like a receiver, not 50% of the time, but 30% of the time, a pass catching running back. Does that make life easier for Cam Ward? Because let's be honest, the Titans can get better defensively. They can get better on the offensive line. They can get better at the receiving core. They can get better running the football. But they are not going to the playoffs until if and when Cam Ward realizes and hits his potential and leads them there. So is making life as easy as possible for him maybe the best possible pick? Again, I don't think so. Our friends at BetMGM have Jeremiah Love plus 145 odds to get taken by the Titans at number 4. I don't think it can just be ignored, the possibility that it might happen.
I just feel the right move, the sensible move, the shrewd move is for Tennessee to trade out of that position and get as many picks as they possibly can in return. Maybe they're getting additional, they're going to get somebody's first rounder, whoever trades up with them. Or maybe they get a second rounder. Maybe they get a future first rounder. They need so much help, man. This is not going to be an overnight rebuild for Robert Saleh and company and Brian Dable. They got to get appropriate personnel, and the best way to do it is through the NFL draft and future picks.